By Senator Canavan.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. It's pretty obvious what the Labor Party are going for and strategising about at the moment. It's pretty obvious that they're on a GST scare campaign, Mr Deputy President. They're on a GST, a give short and a try scare campaign. That's what they're all about at the moment. They're about a give short and a try scare campaign. And, Mr Deputy President, aren't people scared? They are scared out of their pants, Mr Deputy President, about the potential of giving short and a try running this country.
Senator Canavan, I have let you go on a couple of occasions, but we will refer to members in the other place by their correct title.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. I think people now understand what I'm referring to now. This GST scare campaign is scaring voters. They are extremely scared about the prospect of Mr Bill Shorten from the other place leading this nation. They are so scared they've even settled on a number to estimate that particular scare, and that is 15%. That's the number of people now that support the GST process that the Labor Party are putting forward. 15%. That's what they're settled on. 15% from the Labor Party. That's why we've heard that figure a lot from the Labor Party as well, of course. Now, Mr Deputy President, I think some on the other side are getting a bit worried that this particular GST scare campaign is not working. They're putting forward Mr Bill Shorten as an alternative, as a scare, as a sort of a distracting tactic, may not be the best strategy going forward. So I think there's an alternative approach from the other side, and that's not a GST scare campaign, but a VAT scare campaign, a vote for Albo tomorrow. That's the alternative for them. That's the alternative for them. Have another campaign and put in Mr Anthony Albanese. That's I think a few of them at the moment are talking about, because this particular scare campaign is not working. So they're going to try another one of the Australian people and see if that works, a VAT campaign. So roll that particular proposal out, because we know from the Labor Party the only ideas they really have, the only ideas they really come up with are who should lead them. That's what they always talk about. That's what they've spent the last 5 years about. That's what the last 5 years have all been about. It's about which leader, which union hack, which particular former trade union leader should they put forward to the Australian people this time. That's what their real year of ideas is going to end up all about. They're not talking about ideas about how we can grow our economy. They're not talking about ideas about how we can reform our tax system. They're not talking about ideas about how we can innovate and become more efficient. They're certainly not talking about ideas about how we can re-engage competition policy in this country. They're only focused on, and will be focused on, who is going to lead them, who can give the best chance to save some of their seats next year at the election. But this government has a different approach, Mr Deputy President. This government is focused on trying to make sure that we do promote strong economic growth in our country. We do recognise that it's difficult at times at the moment for the Australian economy, because we've had a terms of trade boom that is ending, and that naturally, without any other influence, that naturally means lower per capita growth for our country, because we have been, in the last few years, experiencing higher economic growth just from getting higher prices. And those high prices are not going to continue for us. They're not going to continue, and therefore we need to look at other ways about how we're going to energise our economy. We're going to find new sources of economic growth and economic potential to keep creating jobs. And we have been creating a good level of jobs over the last couple of years. It's been quite a strong labour market, which is positive, but it's going to become harder and harder and harder. And as I say, the North Queensland Cowboys have done a terrific job this year in winning the premiership, but it's going to be even harder for them next year to back up, And that's the same process with our economic growth, that we've done a terrific job not having a recession for 25 years in this country, the second longest period in economic history. But it's becoming harder every year, of course, then, to make sure we keep growing from that high base, because we have avoided a recession for so long. And that's why we have to have these difficult discussions about tax reform. That's why we have to think about how we can strengthen our innovation policy, and of course it's also why we need to respond to the Harper Review with stronger competition laws, with reform of health, education and other sectors to grow productivity and ensure a higher level of economic growth. And I just want to end, Mr Deputy President, the reason we want that higher economic growth is not for the growth in and of itself. It's not because we like seeing higher numbers in the budget every year. It's because it's only through that process that we're going to make sure all Australians have the opportunity to have their own job, or to have the confidence to start their own business, get a loan from the bank to do so, have the security to start their own family and make their own, make sure their own potential is fulfilled in this great nation of ours.